This is going to be the whole presentation. So we're going to have it about attention, the needs, the subconscious, and very important about human AI, or how you can use AI to optimize your communication. Some of you may be familiar with this. Nice lady selling some vegetables, and she's telling us that people who bought this also bought this. So this is one of the first examples, I would believe, of recommender systems, of putting the right content at the right place. But first off, we talk a lot about innovation here. Obviously, AI is pretty much, buzzword heavy. And we all know that there's lots of stuff out there. There's VR, there is AR, there are drones. But my question is always, how important are those things? How much are they already part of our living? And to check that out, let me ask you, do you have any of those things? But as you can see, even though in this room, where I would assume we're all very young, very good-looking people, we should be all on the innovation, and even with us, it's very much not the case. All the new stuff, even we don't have. So it's always the thing that is sticking out. And that also, if you think about putting your advertising somewhere, also makes perfect sense. If your advertising looks like it doesn't belong there, well, you can have some attention. That can be good and it can be bad, obviously, but you will definitely get attention. Especially, for example, if you have contrasting imagery, etc., if you go visual or you use words that you wouldn't expect at that place. The point is that you should use it effectively, because back in the days, the normal was horses. So what have the first automobile people done? They've actually put the horse in front of the car. Because the norm, the context was, I would expect a horse to drive me around. And so they actually had to put it there in order to have people accept the car. And we also call it horsepower, of course. And also in technology, you see this very often. So in the beginning, when Apple came out and it was like, hey, here's notes, here's contacts, they actually adopted a lot of the cues, visual cues, that people were used to. So this very much looks like paper because you were supposed to use it like paper. In Western societies, our needs are generally met, and actually outside there's a lot of food for us to consume. The Maslow pyramid of needs obviously goes from the bottom up. It's not quite complete, obviously. In today's world, we also want the internet. It's very much a basic need, and even more pressing than that is having the battery life to sustain that. Unfortunately, we also have loads of these subconscious associations regarding men and women. We live in a country, Germany, where there's more CEOs called Thomas than there are female CEOs. And that's not because there aren't many women who are very much qualified. It's because when people think of the stereotypical good CEO, it's a mismatch with what they think of about a typical woman in many cases. This is one of the many examples of a cognitive bias, something that automatically happens that we really cannot help, but that has very big consequences for the way that we behave. So what happened was, one half of you, group one, they saw a picture like this, the vegetables, and the other group, they saw this, a picture of teeth and the mirror. And yet both of you, when you were presented with exactly the same reality, had very different reactions. You all thought soup, you all thought soap. And this is just showing you now in real time that what your system has done. It has learned that soup and vegetables appear in a similar context, and that a bathroom, the mirror, and something that is clean would appear in the context of soap. But it's all about what is the most common denominator. Because you as an individual, you were able to see soup or soap, okay, that's nice. But what about all of the other people? All the people that you are advertising to, or that read your content? When you better understand what they associate with any word in your headline, with any word in your content, with your call to action, then obviously you can already predict, form what they will think next. Will they think about trust and maybe security, etc., something that will get them to click and buy, or not? This is obviously the endpoint, because before you need to understand the context. But what we are doing, and this is just a very quick glance, is the ability, and sorry about this is in German, basically seeing, like for soup and vegetables, for example, what are the strongest associations, which ones are positive, negative, and this obviously works for any word in German, English, Chinese, doesn't matter. And this is what I told you in the beginning when we talked about the pineapples and the strawberries. using the right associations bears fruit. And I'm showing you this picture of coffee because you're going to have coffee in a second. And they've actually found that when you talk to a person and they're holding a warm cup of coffee, they will actually think that you are a warmer person. They perceive you as being more approachable, more sympathetic. And the exact opposite happens when you're holding a cold drink, like a Coke. So when you have the networking, go for the warm coffee. And when you want to remember what this talk was all about, and when you're in the shower next, just remember what I talked about. Thank you very much.